Welcome to Stephanie's Threads. I am Stephanie. I created this podcast to share my love of handmade textiles. I will share my knitting, my crochet, my hand-sewn garments, quilting, and other handcrafts that bring me so much joy. I am filming in my studio in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado in the United States. If you enjoy this video, I would love if you would consider hitting the subscribe button, the like button, the notification button. Share this with anyone that you might think would enjoy this content. I really appreciate your leaving any kind of comment to let me know a little bit about yourself and the crafts that bring you joy and that make you happy when you are engaged with them. I am going to start today with what I am wearing and what I have on my form. And I'm going to also talk a bit about crochet for a very special reason, which is that today, the day I'm filming this, is my mom's 80th birthday. She is very, very special, and I made a gift for her that may intrigue some of you who love to give handcrafts, but are a little stymied with how to make those intentional and meaningful and unique to the recipient. So I'm going to share that in just a moment. But I want to start with what I'm wearing, which is the Night Blooms sweater. This is a pattern that was created by Melissa Clulow, formerly of Espace Tricot. She created this when she and Lisa owned Espace Tricot. But Espace Tricot still, which has been taken over by Naomi and Stephanie, still offer the pattern. So Melissa created it. It's a DK weight sweater. I'm looking at my notes. It's a cost of $6.82 US currently. I did get mine on Ravelry, and I made mine with, I hope I say this correctly, JAYG yarn. This is an alpaca merino yarn. I held that with Rowan Kid Silk Haze. I don't have any more of that. But the color work I did in Shibui Silk Cloud. So this colorway is called 11, and the Rowan Kid Silk Haze that I use is number 642 Ghost, and then this is color 2012 Fjord. And again, when I knit it, I held the JAYG alpaca merino double with the Rowan Kid Silk Haze, and it gives this really lovely fluffy texture that you can see. And the color work, as I said, I held the Shibui double. So that produced a really comfortable, luxurious yarn. And in fact, Melissa also created a Night Blooms hat, which I do have enough yarn. I'm going to go ahead and make that to match when I'm wearing this because the texture of this fabric is, you just feel like $1 million when you're wearing it. So that is, oh, and so let me tell you a little bit more about it as I stand up. Hopefully you can see that well. This is a DK weight sweater with the recommended needles. There are 3 needle sizes when you knit this. US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter, US 6, which is a 4.0 millimeter, and that's really what you use for the body, and then US 7, which is 4.5 millimeter. I was very new to color work when I made this sweater, so there's a common recommendation to go up a needle size when you are knitting color work so that you don't have tension problems with your floats and such. And you can see really this came out so perfectly. So I did use those needle sizes. I got the gauge of 20. The pattern has a gauge of 22. So I would have knit, if I met gauge, I would have knit a size 4. Because I didn't, I knit a size 3. And the only thing I can share with, two things that I did differently than the pattern, I bound off in the shibui knits just to give some interest on the edges. And also I did add some decreases to the sleeve. Melissa wrote the pattern so that the sleeve would be a bit more bell-like, and it was a little too much for me, so I did add some decreases to the sleeve. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Stephanie's Threads. And I do keep Ravelry pages for each of my projects that I show on the channel. So you would be able to see my notes about any changes that I made. But I will share with you that Melissa's patterns, and by the way, Melissa currently is the owner of Sonder Yarn Company. So she and Lisa sold Espace Tricot to Naomi and Stephanie, and then opened Sonder Yarn. Lisa since departed and is pursuing a fantastic career as just a beautiful artist. And Melissa is the proprietor of Sonder Yarn. And she, whether you follow her on, her knitting is so inspiring because she's so elegant. And so she creates garments that make you feel elegant, in my opinion. And also the instructions are very clear and simple. So I've probably knit a half a dozen of her patterns, and never once have I stumbled. I just find her pattern writing beautiful, like chef's kiss. So I appreciate her so much. I did check, I was curious because when I first was starting to really get into knitting in the 2018-2019 space timeframe, Melissa and Lisa did a podcast from the Espace Tricot yarn shop in Montreal. And I checked to see if that content was still out there. It's not, but Naomi and Stephanie, who currently own Espace Tricot, do a podcast and from the yarn shop. And I know many knitters who, like the Espace Tricot yarn shop in Montreal is a destination shop for many, many knitters. So if you get to go there, ooh, I'm jealous, but I'm so happy for you. So that's the Night Bloom sweater, soon to be accompanied with a Night Blooms hat. And the next thing I wanted to share with you is what I have on my form. So I actually have two things on my form today. One is a sort of ponte knit sweatshirt that I sewed. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but it has these really fabulous ruched sleeves. But this is another Espace Tricot pattern called In Good Company. It's a wrap. I'm going to pull it from the form so you have a better feel for it. This wrap was designed by Lisa. Lisa Di Fruscia. I hope I said that name correctly. Again, she was the partner with Melissa. So this is, Melissa used to tease Lisa on the podcast and say that Lisa's capacity for endless stockinette was profound. And it's true. I think it took me 2 years to knit this. I didn't work on it exclusively, of course, but I would pick it up periodically and knit it. So this is a free pattern. It's still free, so you can look it up on Ravelry under In Good Company. And like I say, it's still out there under, or you can look it up under Espace Tricot. I knit this. I used to travel a lot in my corporate job, and so I wanted something that I could bring on the airplane that was warm and large. I won't touch those blankets that they offer on the plane. So I wanted something I could lay over my lap or put around my shoulders, or even on, sometimes when you travel and you go to an office, they keep it so cold and you don't want to have any, you don't want to wear your down puffer coat in there. So I wanted something I could put over even a structured blazer or suit that I was wearing, or dress that I was wearing. And this fit the bill entirely. Let me tell you about the yarn, and I'll show you a little bit more. So the yarn that I used is two held together. The main yarn is Rama Lamul, and the color is 84L. It's just like a dusky pink. And then I held that double with Lichen and Lace Marsh Mohair in the color Sweet Pea. And I will confess, I bought this yarn from Espace Tricot after seeing Lisa show it on one of her podcasts back in the day. I just thought it was so elegant and so comfortable. Like when you wear it, you feel like you're wearing a hug. So let me stand up so I can show this to you. I get asked a lot about how to wear and style this type of thing. So if I were on a plane, or if I were in an office, I would probably just drape it in this way. If I were going to wear it more as a bang around town without a coat, I do prefer to wear my knits around my neck. I put it on starting in the front, and then I swoop it over the back of my neck. And this is my preferred way to wear this type of more bulky wrap. I do have a few pins or cuffs that I can also wear, but I would wear this in a heartbeat with a sweater and even a puffy vest on a day that's not so cold. And again, when you put this on, it's not scratchy. It's very soft. There is a little bit of fringe. I'll show you. See that fringe, which I like. It's a little kind of rough. And then the other thing, which I loved when I knit this, is this crossover stitch. So I'll show that to you. So you can see it's the center is stockinette, but then there's a section of these more interesting stitches with like a couple rows of knit, couple rows of a purl, and then you get these wonderful crossover stitches where you are holding stitches on one, like a group of stitches on one needle, passing them back and forth over each other. And I just find those to be very, very interesting. So yes, it's a lot of stockinette, but so worth it in my opinion. And this is one of my absolute favorite. And of course it's the color of that mauvey pink, which is, I think is flattering to very nearly everybody. So that, oh, and I should tell you, this I knit on a US 6, 4.0 millimeter stitches. Is a 20 stitch gauge, but I mean, Lisa intended it to be a voluminous wrap, and so I wanted that. I have seen some people knit it in a smaller size, like they decrease the size of the center. Maybe I should show it to you this way too. See, that's all stockinette in the center there. So it's intended to be big and cozy, and it is. So that is my In Good Company wrap. That's what's on the form. Oh, the other way to wear it too, there are some ladies who are of a certain generation that are so elegant, and they wear it over one shoulder, which I think is quite lovely also. Like if you're wearing a longer dress or skirt, you can put it there and they wear a pin on it, if that's a look that you like. I'm too fussy, like I would always be trying to pull it up and hold it, so that's not a great style for me, but I love the versatility of such an item. So that's what is going on in my knitting world. But I do want to speak to you about crochet today, because when I shared in the first episode my origin of my knitting experience, and one of the things that happened after I got a little discouraged with my Irish cable knit sweater is I entered the land of crochet. It was a bit more accessible to me, both from a skill perspective and from a yarn perspective. So my first stepdad's mom taught me how to make granny squares in my teenage years, which was very helpful to me because really once you can do a granny square, you can do lots and lots of crochet stitches. And there are many, many patterns available or that were available. This predated YouTube, Ravelry, etc. So it was a very accessible craft for me. So the most recent crochet project that I did was for my mom's 80th birthday. I wanted to make her something. I've made her many, many things over the years, but I wanted to make her something very intentional around the milestone of 80. And I actually ventured into the world of AI and asked for a suggestion from ChatGPT for a handmade item that I could give to my mom for a milestone birthday. And it came back and said, try to make something that symbolizes something for each year of her life. And I thought, well, that's amazing. So I jumped onto Ravelry and I started doing searches. And what I wanted to do was to create some sort of flower, some sort of emblem of that took 80. There's many, many, many options, but I landed on the Painted Anemones blanket. And this is I was going to say a recipe. I'm in the cooking world because it's a holiday. The Painted Anemones blanket is a pattern by Sandra Paul. It's $6.98 US on Ravelry. And I got my yarn from Hobby Lobby. It's called I Love This Yarn. When I gift Afghans or blankets, I do tend to use acrylic yarn just for the sake of washability, pop it in the dryer. My mom has pets, I have pets. And when you live in a home like that, you kind of need to have attention on if a kitty has a little accident or a puppy, has a little accident, you need to be able to get it into the laundry, in my opinion. Even though wool is microbiotic and can do all that stuff, I want to submerge and immerse it and not worry about it. So the Painted Anemones blanket comes in 3 sizes, small, medium, or large. So I think the small almost is a baby blanket. I chose to do the medium and still came out to be quite large. And then the large, of course, I think would be more for like a bed. So this is, I did this on the recommended the recommended hook was a 3.5 millimeter or size E. I actually ended up using a 4.5 millimeter. I preferred the flowers when they came out that way. The other ones were a little too rigid for me. So this is that hook, again, bought from Hobby Lobby. I really enjoyed, I have a lot of crochet hooks, but I enjoyed the feel of this one. It didn't hurt my hands, and I liked the thicker and plastic end here. So I did enjoy that. Now, the anemones are these flowers that you create. I'm not going to talk too much about those because it is a paid-for pattern, but essentially you pick a color for your center, then you have another round and your outer round. So I chose colors that would, go in my mom's home, but there was a lot of colors, and I'll get to that in just a second. So here's some of them. But then what you do is you rim it in these leaves, which are, I chose the same color to do for the leaves for cohesion. So you do that. And then, this is the first time I've done this. This is a join as you go crochet Afghan. So what I did is I just chose a cream because it would go well with all the colors and in my mom's home. But as you add the last round with the ivory, then you are joining the Afghan anemones as you go. It came out incredible. I'm gonna go ahead and put a picture in here so you can see what the finished Afghan looks like. And you can see it's very pleasing, very lovely pattern. So I ended up, I had to make this bag to put all this yarn in. These were panels that I had gotten for quilting, and I just popped together this bag because there is so much yarn involved. And now I have enough yarn to make another Afghan. So I think I might actually make the, I think it's called the Ripple Afghan. That's not the name of it, but I will, in a future episode, be sharing that with you. And the reason it's from Lucy's Attic on Ravelry. And the reason I like that is because I can use all the colors and it comes out in a, you know, just a nice, it's intended to have many, many colors so that you don't have to try to figure out, you know, one or two things just to make it work. So anyway, that is the most recent, it's in with her, so I don't have it to show you. But anyway, that is, it was a joy to make, and I wrote a very intentional and meaningful card to share with her the symbolism of the 80 flowers and the way that those, you know, just that she has touched my life and been the best mom in the whole wide world. So anyway, that is my gift to my mom, and I couldn't have been more pleased with the way that my intention and my desire to gift her something meaningful came together. And I have to say, this is one of the things for me that means so much with my crafting, whether I'm making a quilt or an Afghan or making things for myself. It's a period of time in my life where my love for that person went into every ounce of creating that for them, that item for them. And I hope that they feel that when they receive it. And if they don't, it's okay. I put my love in there, and that's what is meaningful to me. The second thing I wanted to show you, because I did want to talk about crochet today, is another blanket that I've made. This is called the Perham Afghan. This is a granny square blanket, and this is published or created by Lion Brand Yarn. It's a free pattern. I did get it on Ravelry, but I'm sure you can probably also get it at the Lion Brand website. Of course, I chose pinks, and this is made with Premier Yarns Basics, Basix. I don't have any more of the yarn to show you. I used it all. And I used 3 colors, salmon, which is this color, ballet, which is the light pink, and taffy, which is the inner. You can barely tell the difference between the taffy and the salmon, but in person you can. Now this is a large, I chose to make a large blanket. The reason I worked on this is because it was summer and it was hot and I didn't want to knit. I didn't want things in my lap. So when you work on a granny square, and this is a true granny square pattern, then you can create all the granny squares, and then when you join it is when you just, you know, do it when it's a bit cooler. So the other thing I wanted to share with you, which is different than the Painted Anemones, is this is a seamed Afghan. So once you have the squares, you have to seam them together. I chose to use the seam. I found a video on YouTube. It's made by Hooked by Robbins. I will link that below for you. But what I loved is it created this little raised seam. Let me see if I can show you in a way that you can see. So there you go. And I'm not sure if you'd be able to see that. It creates a ridge. That's probably a better way to say it. So if you were looking at this with me in person, you would see these ridges that are created in between the various squares. Loved it. Then I put on I did add a simple border. The pattern had a different border, but I really like this kind of shell on the edge. Let me see if I can show that to you in a better way. And so anyway, and this is huge. I have this for my king size bed, and it fits across and probably about 1/2 to 3/4 the way up. You can put it on your feet if you're cool. Take a nap with it. It is a really, really pretty pattern, and you know, especially if you're good with color, you can just have all variations. So, and you can see in the photo, the Lion brand used a whole different color scheme. But this is my favorite kind of cozy blanket, and I thought you would be interested to see the difference between join as you go versus seaming. Let's be clear, both of these blankets require some dedication because of our little friends, the ends. So when you have to leave enough time literally when you're making this to weave in the ends, because there's a lot of ends and you have to weave them in, or else you run the risk of things falling apart. The third Afghan I want to show you is another one that I made, and this is a continuous crochet. So I don't even have the pattern name for this. I couldn't find it. But this one is all double crochet. Yeah, all double crochet. And this, you just keep joining ball after ball of yarn, and you just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So there's no seaming. It's the same type of stitch though as either of these. You know, with crochet you have single crochet, half double crochet, treble crochet, and you just put them in different combinations and go. So this is the border that I created. This actually was the border for the pattern. I wouldn't have made this, and I just love these little shells that you get. Very, very feminine in my opinion. And again, this is one of those Afghans you can cozy up with and just have a cozy time for yourself when you are making it. So that also, I enjoyed making that. Typically when I am considering a crochet project, I'm looking to, how do I say this? I would say style it with something. So for example, this I made to go with the quilt that I made for my bedroom. So it matches that. It's like, you know, when you're putting an outfit together, you pick your pants and your upper to match, and that's what this is. And then this one, the Perham Afghan, I also made for a summer quilt that I have for my room in case, you know, I need options. I told you in the last video, I'm a Gemini, I need options. So those are the two different things that I made. The one I chose to make for my mom, I had to do more generically, I would say, because, you know, I'm not in the house, and I wanted something that she could put basically anywhere, but of colors that she would wear, that she would enjoy. I look a lot like my mom, blonde hair, blue eyes, so she tends to wear and prefer things that are in her color pattern, blues and softer colors, I would say. So that is how that came to pass. And like I said, I'm going to probably use this extra yarn to make one of two things. The first one will be the Ripple Afghan, or I can make some emotional support chickens or duckies, which I'll show you at a different episode. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. I am wishing and hoping that if you are a person who celebrates any type of festival for the holidays, that you are enjoying that. My heart goes out to everybody, and just wishing you all very smooth stitches and so much peace.